Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nurul Izzati binti Ibrahim, matric number 256308. I'm going to present about the impact of COVID-19 in Islamic banking and finance institution in OIC countries. So I will start with the definition of Islamic banking and finance. So Islamic banking and finance refer to an institution that involved with the transaction based on Sharia compliant. So this institution offer product and service based on Sharia principle. Sharia principle here refer to the principle that do not contain any prohibited matter such as riba, gharar and maisir. So the main objective of this institution is to promote risk sharing between customer, investor and also the bank. So presently, we can see that all over the world facing the issue of pandemic COVID-19. So coronavirus disease, or it also COVID-19, is infectious disease that newly found in Wuhan, China on December 2020. So according to the World Health Organization WHO, there were more than 3 million people has been infected to this virus. So OIC countries is no exception to involved with this disease of COVID-19. So OIC countries also being affected to this virus of COVID-19. So this pandemic COVID-19 has caused an economy to all over the world, including OIC countries. So there are many industries that been affected, such as tourism, food and beverage, retail and others. So this company, this industry must limit their operation time and need to close down due to the restriction movement and lockdown that being conducted by the government. So the sale in the business has been affected due to this drastic action. So the biggest impact that we can see due to this COVID-19 is the increasement in unemployment rate in every countries. So for example, based on the data from National Statistic Department of Malaysia, the unemployment rate has shown an increase from 3.2% to 5% in April 2020. So this is the highest unemployment rate recorded by Malaysia in 20 years. So total of 4.87 million people are at risk of being fired by their company due to the restriction order that being conducted by the government. In addition, this crisis also gives impact to the micro, small and medium-sized enterprise, which is SME, to settle their financing with the Islamic banking and finance institution. So Islamic banking and finance institution will also be affected due to the default payment by their customer. So, Islamic banking and finance need to take the drastic action in ensuring their business doing good. So, based on the figure, we can see that the GDP growth in OIC countries. So, the positive adjusted GDP growth shows that the economy in that countries in a good condition, while for the lower GDP growth shows that the economy of the countries is not in good condition. So based on the figure, we can see that there are only two countries that have a higher and positive adjusted GDP growth, which is Bangladesh and Indonesia. So we can conclude that most of the countries having economic problem due to this pandemic COVID-19. So next, I will proceed with the impact of COVID-19 in Islamic banking and finance institution in several OIC countries. First, I will start with the Bahrain. So for the Bahrain, CEO of Bahrain Islamic Bank, Hassan Amin Jarrah, state that the COVID-19 has reduced the revenue of all in their countries. So this crisis also give impact to the industry, to the financial industry. So there are several aspects that been affected due to this crisis, which are profitability, asset quality, and also liquidity coverage. So for the profitability, the profitability for Islamic retail bank show maintain at 0.3%, while for the profitability of Islamic wholesale bank declined to 0.4% in June 2019. So Bahrain having difficulties to increase their level of profitability because they have to limit their transaction with the new customer. So in terms of asset quality, the falling in price of oil has increased the risk of asset quality in Islamic bank. So the increase in non-performing facility (NPF) in 2019 has declined the asset quality for Islamic retail bank. So, in order to prevent this problem, Bahrain has come up with drastic action by conducting the moratorium in ensure the asset quality in a good condition. So next for the in terms of liquidity, so in order to reduce the liquidity risk, the banking sector should limit the number of new customer in any transaction, and they also need to limit the transaction in trading of currency between one country to another countries in order to ensure that they hold the enough fund in their company. So next, the according to the figure, we can see that Bahrain show the decline in Sharia index starting to the COVID-19 crisis. So next, I will proceed with the impact of COVID-19 in Islamic banking and finance in Malaysia. So Malaysia also having the same problem with the Bahrain, such as it has the reduce in profitability and asset quality. So moratorium has been conducted by the government in order to prevent this problem. So for the conventional bank, they are allowed to charge for the interest of outstanding balance, while for the Islamic bank, they are only allowed to charge for the profit based on their effort in order to ensure that they follow the right Sharia principle. So the asset quality in this country has been improved by the alternative of moratorium. Moreover, the bank having difficulties to meet the liquidity requirement given by the central bank. So the bank has been given the relaxation by the BNM to operate below the minimum LCR requirement of 100% and lower NSFR to 80%. So the figure shows that the performance of Sharia indices for Bursa Malaysia Emas Syariah and Bursa Malaysia Hijrah Syariah for 2015 and until 2020. So each index showed the decline in March 2020 due to this COVID-19 crisis. So the Emas Syariah index fell 18.4%, while for the Hijrah Syariah index dropped 15%. So next, I will proceed with the impact of COVID-19 in Indonesia countries. So the main impact of this COVID-19 in the economy of Indonesia is the issue of foreign exchange rate. So the foreign exchange rate of Indonesia rupiah against the US dollar. The Jakarta Composite Index (JKSE) value also fall to 4,000 in March due to this pandemic. For the GDP, the economic growth for 2020 is lower than the growth for 2019. So there are many measures that be undertaken by the Indonesia countries. For example, they have introduced the new regulation for financial issue, which is government regulation in lieu of Act Number 1 Year 2020. So the first regulation is the government has given flexibility to the fiscal deficit restriction, which is the GDP can be more than 3% until 2022. So next, Bank Indonesia also allowed to buy the severage bond and sukuk directly to the primary market. In addition, government of Indonesia also provide the contribution for more than 4,000 for 5.1 trillion rupiah, which is that will be distributed in different needs such as for healthcare, SME, and others. So the contribution has been allocated based on the following figure. So as a conclusion, we can see that this pandemic has give a huge impact to the economy for the countries all over the world. So the main impact that being infected due to this COVID-19 is the global shrink economy and the increase in the unemployment rate. So these two effects raised due to the lockdown that being conducted by the government. So we can see that Islamic banking and finance institution come up with the great alternative in order to prevent this problem, such as by conducting the moratorium for the loan and financing people. So this alternative has been undertaken to ensure that an individual, business, and corporation can survive during this critical time. So I think that's all from me. Thank you for your time. See you again. Bye. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.